Hey YNR fans! Waving hand, welcome to YNR Trends, your go-to spot for the juiciest Young and the Restless updates, shocking spoilers, and all the drama you can't stop talking about. From surprise returns to scandalous twists, we break it all down for you, every day. So grab your coffee, hit that subscribe button, and let's dive right into Genoa City's hottest gossip. The night in Genoa City was tense, as though every shadow carried a secret and every whisper carried a lie. Audra's sudden and shocking death had left the city rattled, but what no one expected was the devastating revelation that was about to unfold. The truth behind her killer's identity had been carefully buried beneath layers of deception, but secrets always have a way of surfacing. And when the mask was finally ripped away, the fallout was far more explosive than anyone could have imagined. People who thought they were safe suddenly realized the walls were closing in. Friends became suspects. Lovers became enemies. And standing in the center of it all was Tucker, a man who had lost not just a partner but a piece of himself, and who was now fueled by a rage that threatened to destroy anyone who dared stand in his path. For days, speculation ran wild. Was Audra the victim of a calculated scheme, or had she simply been in the wrong place at the wrong time? Those who knew her best couldn't ignore the fact that she had enemies, powerful ones. From the business world to her personal life, Audra had navigated dangerous waters, often leaving betrayal and suspicion in her wake. But as rumors swirled, one name began to creep into conversations, whispered at first, then spoken louder, until the weight of the truth was undeniable. The killer wasn't some faceless stranger. It was someone tied directly to the very circle Audra thought she controlled. And that revelation cut deeper than any knife. Tucker stood in his penthouse, staring out over the city lights, his reflection in the glass cold and haunted. He replayed his last conversation with Audra over and over again, searching for signs, for clues he should have seen. They had fought, yes, but beneath the friction was a bond that neither could deny. He had admired her ambition, her fire, her willingness to stand up to him even when it put her in danger. Now, with her gone, all that remained was silence and the gnawing hunger for answers. And when those answers came, they would shatter him. Because the killer wasn't just someone Audra trusted, it was someone Tucker had once called an ally. The revelation didn't come in a courtroom or during a police interrogation. It came quietly, almost cruelly, in a series of small discoveries that snowballed into undeniable proof. An overheard phone call. A financial transaction traced back to a shell company. A slip of the tongue in the wrong company. Piece by piece, the puzzle assembled itself, and the picture it painted was one of betrayal so deep it made Tucker's blood run cold. The killer had been in their midst all along, hiding behind false promises and carefully crafted lies. And once Tucker knew, once he allowed himself to believe what the evidence was screaming, there was no turning back. The city buzzed with the news, the shock rippling through families and friendships like a sudden earthquake. People who thought they knew the players in this game realized they had been blind. Victor, always watching from the shadows, tightened his grip on his empire, wary of how this revelation might shift the balance of power. Nikki, ever the peacemaker, feared the damage it could cause to the already fragile alliances within their world. Devin and Lily, blindsided by the betrayal, questioned their own judgment and the safety of everyone they loved. But Tucker was different. He didn't just feel shock. He felt fury. And that fury was about to ignite a fire that no one could put out. Tucker wasn't a man who forgave easily. He had made enemies before, but this was different. This was personal. Audra's killer hadn't just taken her life, they had taken away Tucker's chance at redemption, his chance to prove that he could love, that he could stand beside someone without destroying them. Now, all of that was gone, and the man who had once played the game with charm and cunning was replaced by someone far more dangerous. He began to plot, carefully, methodically, knowing revenge wasn't just about striking back, it was about making the guilty suffer, about ensuring they felt every ounce of pain they had caused. As whispers of Tucker's growing vendetta spread, fear began to ripple through Genoa City. Those who had crossed him in the past looked over their shoulders, unsure if they might become collateral damage. The killer themselves, though smug at first, began to feel the walls closing in. They had underestimated Tucker, believing his grief would paralyze him. Instead, it sharpened him. It turned him into a predator waiting for the perfect moment to strike. And when that moment came, Tucker promised himself there would be no mercy. The fabric of Genoa's city is woven with threads of deception, betrayal, and long-buried secrets, a tapestry where the past is never truly past but merely waiting in the shadows for its moment to reassert itself. For months, the community, and the audience alongside it, has been held in the grip of a singular, haunting question: who ended the life of Audra Charles? Her death was not just a loss, it was a seismic event that destabilized alliances, shattered illusions, and sent ripples of paranoia through every corner of the corporate and personal battlegrounds that define the landscape of the young and the restless. The revelation of her killer's identity, therefore, is never just a simple answer to a whodunit. It is a key that unlocks a new, more dangerous chapter, a catalyst for transformations in character and destiny. And in this instance, the disclosure that it was Tucker McCall, a man of immense charm and even greater capacity for manipulation, who was responsible, lands not as a mere plot point but as a profound shockwave, one whose most immediate and violent reverberations are felt by his own son, Tucker. The phrase "ready for revenge" is a common one in the lexicon of soap opera spoilers, but when applied to a character as complex and emotionally charged as Devon Hamilton, it signifies the beginning of a journey that is less about retribution and more about a fundamental unraveling of self, a confrontation with a legacy of darkness he has spent a lifetime trying to escape. To understand the weight of this revelation and the fury it ignites in Devon, one must first appreciate the intricate and deeply fractured history between father and son. Tucker McCall has never been a simple villain. He is a figure of tragic flaws, a man whose love for his children is genuine yet is almost always eclipsed by his insatiable hunger for power, control, and the thrill of the game. His relationship with Devon is a case study in paternal failure and frustrated connection. Devon, who found a true father figure in the noble Neil Winters, has always viewed Tucker with a mixture of caution, curiosity, and deep-seated resentment. Their interactions have cycled through moments of tentative reconciliation and bitter betrayal, with Tucker consistently prioritizing his own agendas over the fragile trust of his son. Each time a bridge was built, Tucker himself would douse it in gasoline and strike a match, leaving Devon to mourn not just the relationship itself, but the potential of what it could have been. This history makes Tucker's crime not just a murder, but the ultimate betrayal. He did not merely kill a woman, he killed a woman who was significant to Devon. Audra was not just an employee or a casual acquaintance, she was a force in Devon's orbit, a person with whom he shared history, business, and a certain level of complicated respect, if not always alliance. For Tucker to be the one to extinguish her life is to commit an act of violence not only against Audra but against Devon himself. It is the final, unforgivable proof that Tucker's pathological selfishness knows no bounds, that no life, no relationship, is sacred if it stands in the way of his desires or his convoluted schemes. The declaration that Devon is ready for revenge is a pivot point for a character who has largely been defined by his integrity, his compassion, and his dedication to the philanthropic legacy of Neil Winters and Catherine Chancellor. Devon is the moral center of many narratives, the voice of reason in a family often consumed by drama. This revelation, however, threatens to shatter that very identity. Revenge is a dish foreign to his nature, a dark impulse that goes against everything he has built himself to be. Yet, the pain of this ultimate betrayal is so profound, so personal, that it threatens to overwrite his core programming. This internal conflict is the true heart of the storyline. It is not merely about Devon seeking to punish Tucker, it is about Devon wrestling with the darkness within himself, a darkness that is, ironically, his father's inheritance. The fear is not that Devon will fail in his quest for revenge, but that he will succeed. The fear is that in the process of making Tucker pay, Devon will lose himself, becoming a mirror image of the man he despises, calculating, ruthless, and consumed by a singular, destructive passion. This is the classic tragic arc, where the hero's pursuit of justice against a monster risks transforming him into a monster himself. Every step he takes toward undermining Tucker's business, destroying his relationships, or exposing his crimes will be a step away from the man Neil Winters raised him to be. The audience is left to watch in a state of anxious suspense, wondering which will prove stronger, Devon's innate goodness or the corrosive power of righteous anger. Furthermore, the ripple effects of this revelation in Devon's subsequent quest for vengeance will inevitably ensnare the entire Winters-Ashby-Hamilton clan, creating a web of conflicting loyalties and moral dilemmas. Abby Newman, Devon's close friend and confidant, who also has her own complicated history with Tucker, will be torn between her support for Devon and her own sense of morality, potentially fearing for the soul of the man she considers family. Lily Winters, always a pillar of strength and pragmatism, will likely urge caution, understanding the legal and personal pitfalls of a revenge mission, yet feeling the same visceral anger at the violation Tucker has committed. The children, Dominic and Lucy, become innocent pawns in a looming war, their safety and well-being potentially overshadowed by the escalating conflict between grandfather and father. The family unit, which has weathered countless storms, now faces a threat from within its own extended bloodline. Tucker's action is a grenade tossed directly into the heart of their stability, and Devon's response, however understandable, has the potential to amplify the blast radius, causing collateral damage to everyone he loves and everything they have built together. This is the true cost of revenge in the soap opera universe. It is never contained. It splatters onto every surrounding character, forcing them to choose sides, question their own ethics, and participate in a drama they did not initiate. The corporate world of Genoa City, primarily Hamilton Winters and Chancellor Winters, will also become a primary battleground for Devon's vendetta. Business and personal animosity are forever intertwined in this world, and a powerful figure like Tucker is never without assets, alliances, and layers of protection. Devon's revenge will not be a simple act of violence, it will be a strategic, corporate takedown. He will likely use his considerable resources and influence to systematically dismantle Tucker's empire, to isolate him from his allies, and to bankrupt him in every sense of the word, financially, socially, and emotionally. This promises a return to the classic, high-stakes boardroom wars that are a hallmark of The Young and the Restless, but now infused with a level of personal hatred that makes it more dangerous than any mere business rivalry. Every stock maneuver, every hostile takeover attempt, every poached client will be laden with the subtext of a son trying to destroy his father. The boardroom becomes a therapy couch and a battlefield simultaneously. We will see Devon, perhaps for the first time, operating not from a place of business acumen or a desire to build, but from a place of pure, unadulterated destruction. This shift in motivation could make him a formidable and terrifying opponent, but it also risks alienating the very business partners and colleagues whose respect he has earned. He may win the battle but lose the respect of the business community, becoming seen as unstable, driven by emotion rather than strategy. Amidst this maelstrom of personal and corporate warfare, the fate of Audra herself must not be forgotten. Her murder, and the revelation of her killer, reframes her entire story. She becomes a tragic figure, a casualty in a game she was playing with masters. It will likely prompt a reassessment of her recent actions and motivations. Were her manipulations and alliances in her final days part of a scheme that inadvertently put her in Tucker's crosshairs? Did she uncover a secret that made her a threat to him? Her death, now that the killer is known, becomes a key to understanding Tucker's own desperation and the lengths he was willing to go to protect his schemes. Furthermore, it ensures that her memory will be weaponized. Devon will invoke her name as a rallying cry for his revenge. Tucker will likely try to vilify her posthumously to justify his actions. In death, Audra loses her agency and becomes a symbol in the war between father and son, her legacy defined not by her own ambitions and complexities but by the violent act that ended her life and the revenge quest it spawned. It is a sobering reminder that in Genoa City, even in death, one is never free from the machinations of the living. Ultimately, the spoiler revealing Tucker as Audra's killer and Devon's subsequent thirst for revenge is a masterstroke in long-form storytelling because it leverages decades of complicated history to fuel an explosive new narrative. It is not a story that could be told with just any two characters, it requires the specific, painful, and nuanced history of Tucker and Devon to achieve its maximum impact. The audience knows the years of disappointment, the fleeting moments of hope, and the profound hurt that lives in Devon. They understand that Tucker, for all his wicked charm, is capable of this because his moral compass has always been broken, pointing only toward his own advantage. The promise of revenge sets up a season, or perhaps longer, of intense drama that is as psychological as it is external. It forces Devon to stare into an abyss of his own making, to dance with the devil that shares his DNA. The central question becomes not will Devon get revenge, but what will be the cost of getting it? Will he emerge from this fire scorched but himself, or will he be fundamentally altered, another casualty of Tucker McCall's endless, destructive games? The tragedy is already in motion, the killer is known. The greater tragedy is yet to unfold, and it will be written in the choices of a good man who believes that to achieve justice, he must first become something he is not. The path of revenge is a lonely and corrosive one, and as Devon steps onto it, he risks discovering that in seeking to destroy his father's legacy, he might only be fulfilling it.